Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Court Martial Podcast. Introducing your host for this evening first. He is the host with the most from the West Coast, the Bay Area Brawler, Skylar Greenberg. And his partner, he has colonized, energized, and revolutionized the podcasting wrestling world today. Your Colonial champion, Sean McCarty. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between. Welcome to the Court Martial Podcast. Here way later than we wanted to be, but that is an operatic problem that has now been solved. And now my attention is exclusively with you, the beloved listeners of the Court Martial Podcast. We love you so very, very much. So much that we are going to masturbate all over you in the form of a wonderful program, ACPW versus NWL, Season 2, so close to the end. I am your Colonial champion, Sean McCarty, pre-demonetizing us so we could say whatever the hell we want going forward. And with me, with his head in his hands by my side, coming to an aquarium near you, the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour. He is the Bay Area Brawler himself, Skylar Greenberg. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm back from my trip from Italy where the wine is fine, the women are finer, and my God, you could not have started a show in a much better way.
Yeah, well, we got to keep people prepared for what's about to splurge all over them. Because it is truly self-indulgence here that has brought us to this moment. But I'd like to think, Sky, that there are listeners out there who very much enjoy the way that we program things on our own separate shows.
Joshua.
Among others. So
that would explain why we are so close to 100. 100 right. Subscribers. Think about it, Sean.
I know. We're right at the tip, and then it's worth mentioning, folks, thank you so much for being supporters. I cannot believe, genuinely, the kind of growth that the Court Martial Podcast has seen ever since a certain co-host arrived. I don't want to say nothing, but ever since a co-host arrived, we've been doing pretty damn well.
I'll take the credit.
So, and as a result, we have almost at 100 subscribers. Thank you so much for joining that. But we're not going to stop there. We're just going to keep climbing right on up until we reach the very tip of the mountain. T-Series, we're coming for you. But in any case, we've got ourselves a hell of a show here. And, of course, the big part of this is going to be at the very end when we finish both of our respective episodes and we get our ad drop, the final ad drop of the year. Are you excited?
Maybe.
I love maybe. But here's something you can be damn sure of. We are going to have a quality National Wrestling League program, and now the time has come. Sky, the floor is yours.
Why, thank you. And welcome to the penultimate show before our biggest show of the year, Wrestle Festival, NWL Oktoberfest.
I'm feeling more German already.
We're going German, we're going Halloween, and I couldn't take Halloween Havoc.
That's fair.
The trademark was too big. Anyways, so this show is a bit of a moving parts show because...
I can relate.
Well, let's look at the rankings. Drew McIntyre is the number 1 contender. Kevin Owens is number 2. AJ Styles number 3. Keith Lee number 4. Seth Rollins 5. Nakamura 6. Sami Zayn 7. Pat McAfee 8, Dominic Mysterio 9, and Will Hobbs 10. Now, the reason why I say it's a moving parts show is that if you remember last year, the main event was a 6-man tag with the tag team champions and the world champion going up against the winners of the Hart Foundation Cup and determining their stipulations for their matches at Wrestle Festival.
I do remember this.
Which was the Drew McIntyre and the New Day were a team versus Roman Reigns and the Usos.
What is it with Drew and being put with people that he's just does not want to be with, or is just has so weird? I mean, first the New Day and then the Usos. What a strange path of 6-man taggery does this Drew McIntyre have under his belt?
Yes. So as it currently is constructed, the 6-man tag would be Roman Reigns and the current tag team champions, the almighty crew of Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews, versus Drew McIntyre and the Usos.
Oh my God.
Now, here's why I say it's a moving parts. In TV, Roman Reigns has been adamant that the Usos don't want to wait till Wrestle Festival. They want to get their tag team title shots now.
Right.
So now, the Usos have cashed in their tag team title match opportunity and are challenging the Almighty Crew tonight.
Oh, I'm proud that Kurt Angle allowed that.
And you want to know what Kurt Angle has also done?
What's he done?
He made that match. He also made that match no disqualification. And you want to know his reasoning?
I would love to know his reasoning.
Because he told all four of those guys, along with their managers and other supporters, that if a meteorite came into the arena and killed all of them while they were having the tag team title match, he would be perfectly fine with it because he hates everyone in this match.
Wow. That's
So literally Kurt Angle is hoping that they all kill each other.
Kurt, the pressure of being the NWL general manager has really put a lot onto Kurt's mental health because he's getting a lot more short-fused and a lot more I'm gonna fuck you up than he was before.
Because look at it. The Almighty Crew have been messing with Kurt Angle for months now. And Roman Reigns had to use his big dick energy on Kurt Angle last month.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I don't blame Kurt for being this way. It's just you can really tell that the job is starting to wear on him.
Anyways, the point is that should the Usos win the match this time, it will end up being a 3-on-1 handicap in the main event.
Oi.
So we'll see what happens. Now, we do have 3 preliminary show matches before we begin the 7-match main card.
All right.
First match, Piper Niven versus Mandy Rose. Guess how long it goes?
3 minutes.
4.
Oh, okay. Hey, good for Mandy Rose. Is she blonde or is she brunette?
Right now, she's currently blonde. I give Piper Niven the win. Although, I'm interested to see if Toxic Attractions can be interesting in NXT.
Well, I haven't seen anything about it yet because I just have not been paying attention. But I will. I've definitely seen her new look. I've seen Mandy Rose's new look, but I don't know enough about what she's doing to say one way or the other.
We'll find out.
We will. We shall see.
Determined. Now, because of that whole mouthful of a tag team championship thing.
Yep.
Because of that, a mini 4-team tournament is going to begin tonight. The winning team becomes the number 1 contenders and faces the tag team champions at Wrestle Festival.
Okay. Whoever those tag champions might be.
Whoever the champions might be.
Got it.
Because the Usos are tagging their shot. This is their one shot at the titles. So, the first match is the Young Bucks versus the Motor City Machine Guns.
6 minutes.
Who wins?
I would hope to God Motor City Machine Guns.
Yes, you are.
Good. Was I right? It's 6 minutes?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Oh, right. Anyways, I'll take the over.
Take the over-under. Second preliminary show matchup, The Bar versus the Fashion Police.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
5 minutes, The Bar wins.
Well, they need that win because just a quick side note about The Bar. I've noticed that you have pretty much done exactly what I did with them, and that's really, really, really want to figure them in and just not have a good spot for them.
The problem is that they're a really good tag team, but they're not as good as the top tag teams I want to feature.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
But I'm doing enough with them to keep them relevant. Because, hey, they just won this match. They're facing the Motor City Machine Guns. If they win, they go for the tag team championships.
Right. They needed a dub.
They got the dub, and they needed to get another one. Anyways, we're going to leave that aside. Now we're going to start the main show.
Let's do it.
But the squash matches aren't over. Dominic Mysterio versus R-Truth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Weirdly enough, just considering what R-Truth is in NWL, I've got to root for Dominic Mysterio.
Well, Dominic Mysterio wins. R-Truth. Only 4 minutes.
All right, there we go. Are we getting an Eddie promo now?
No, you're not getting an Eddie promo. You're going to get a different type of promo, though.
Oh,
so
I like promos.
Dominic Mysterio is celebrating his victory, and out on the stage comes Rey Mysterio.
Oh, snap.
And Rey comes out with a microphone and says, Dominic, my niño, listen, I may have failed you as a father, but I'm not going to fail you as an opponent. Because what you did 2 months ago was bull. You and I both know that you took the Eddie playbook, and that's fine. But the fact that you disrespected me, I cannot hold back anymore. And I will not hold back anymore. You and me, one more time, Wrestle Festival. So, of course, Dominic grabs the microphone and says, hey, yo, Papi, listen here, okay? You can make all the challenges you want. You can make all the threats you want. The fact of the matter is that I'm better than you. And you know why? Because I took after the greatest Mexican luchador of all time. And it's not you. It's never been you. You were never as good as Eddie, and you're never going to be. And Rey was like, I know that. But the fact is that you're taking after a man who's not even your own blood. He may have been your uncle, but he wasn't your blood. I'm your blood. Don't you care about that? No, you don't, because you're selfish. I'm going to beat that selfishness out of you. Listen here, you arrogant little whelp. I'm going to show you who I am. They don't call me the king for nothing. If you think you got it, then you got it. And if you don't, and this is as Rey is approaching the ring and he gets onto the ring apron, I'm going to make you suffer because of the words that you said. And Dominic tries to hit Rey. Rey gets a quick kick on Dominic. He's about to go for a springboard, but Dominic rolls out of the ring and rolls through the crowd. They don't want to deal with Rey. And Rey just gets in the ring, points at Dominic and says, hey, I never ran away from a fight. What the hell are you doing? As far as I'm concerned, you're no Mysterio anymore. You can be a Guerrero if you want to, but at the end of the day, I'm the king.
Something that doesn't get appreciated enough about this story is that Rey Mysterio was never trying to compete with Eddie as to who was better than the other. You know, where Dominic says, you know, you're always trying to be Eddie or better than Eddie, and Eddie was always better than you. And Rey is like, I was never trying to be Eddie because I was always being me. I was crafting being the king. And I've earned my reputation, and he hasn't. And that is also a big part of this vengeance, and I really like where this is headed. Wrestle Festival, this should be a good match.
And it's going to be better than anything WWE gives us.
Oh, without a doubt.
Anyways, so we're going to move on to that tag team #1 contendership match, the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Bar.
All right, here we go. Let's see what happens.
I'm going to give this 12 minutes. It's ball-to-the-wall action. It's the Motor City Machine Guns working hard, working fast, trying to outgun the Bar. The Bar are just too strong, too powerful. They start dominating. And then the Motor City Machine Guns make their comeback. The finish for this match is the Bar setting up for their double-team finisher. And Alex Shelley rolls out of it, pushes Cesaro into Sheamus. And there's a little bit of miscommunication between Cesaro and Sheamus. But it's enough time for the Machine Guns to hit the double-team finisher on Cesaro for the 1-2-3.
I like this. I think the Motor City Machine Guns still have a lot left to offer pro wrestling. You know, even though they're kind of getting up there in age, you know, I kind of put them in the same kind of vicinity as wrestling's finest. You know, as they're up there in age, but their work has always been solid, and it always will be solid. And they're great baby faces. They're just terrific baby faces. And I think that whoever wins this, they're going to have a good match with.
Plus, think about this. The Almighty Crew are heels. The Usos are heels.
Yeah,
it's no disrespect to the Bar. It's not disrespect to the Bar, who are basically tweeners at this point. But I needed a babyface team, and they're my de facto number 2 babyface team behind the New Day.
Yeah. And the New Day, you've gotten a lot of length out of the New Day.
Yes, and I will continue to get more length out of the New Day when they come up. Anyways, so now we're going to go to another promo with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
All right.
So these two gentlemen, as you know, attacked Edge. Well, Kevin Owens attacked Edge after their loss in the Hart Foundation Cup semifinals. And Sami and Kevin have been dodging Edge for weeks as Edge has been on a mission to try and find them. So Kevin and Sami go to the ring and they're like, you know what? We're not going to run anymore. Edge, come out here. So Edge makes his entrance. He gets in the ring with these two. And Edge just very simply says, listen here. I'm retired. I was trying to do my own thing. I was just looking out for Dominic, okay? Whether or not me and Ray have a good relationship, sometimes it's been good, sometimes it's been bad. I've been almost like an uncle to him. I just wanted to make sure that Dominic was okay. Why did you have to attack me? And Kevin, of course, is frustrated. He's like, listen here, Edge. The reason why I attacked him is because of you. You took the world championship from me. You put me in that situation where I have a team with that unappreciated wealth. As far as I'm concerned, this is all your fault. And I'm not going to go away until I get retribution from you. And Edge is like, that's funny. Aren't you the one that tried to attack me and my family? Aren't you the one that tried to end my career? Kevin, the only person that you need to look at in the mirror for why you lost the world championship is you. Because if you weren't the aggressive man that you were, if you weren't the man who attacked others just to get ahead, I wouldn't have come after you as hard as I did. Either way, it doesn't matter. And Sami, why are you hanging around Kevin? Don't you know that he gets in trouble, you'll have to clean it up? Or are you just Kevin's bitch?
Oh, rude, Edge.
And of course, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn take exception to this, and they start attacking Edge, and they're beating him down. It's an assault. And here comes Christian on his own.
Well,
and Christian comes in to save Edge. They turn the table to 2-on-2, and they route out Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
This sounds like a whole heap of build-up here.
Whole heap of build-up.
And I love it. I love the idea of this match. I said it last time. I love the idea of this match. I love the fact that Owens is still kind of bitter about something that happened so long ago. Because Kevin Owens really, like, at his core, he's just like an adult, grown-sized 12-year-old child. So he would hold the kind of grudge that he did against Edge after all this time, just knowing that Edge would be there. Even though Edge clearly has a better grip on sanity than Kevin does.
Right, and if you think about it, it's like the modern day Edge and Christian going up against the old version of Edge and Christian.
Yeah, in a way, I could see that. If if Edge, was a little bit more shorts to the ring and a tank top, how would you think that would go over? If you think of Edge, like when he first debuted, forget the Brood, if he just showed up in shorts and a tank top.
No.
Exactly.
No.
Moving on.
So we're going to go backstage to the office of one tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
Oh, snap.
And as he's preparing for his match later tonight, Seth Rollins walks in. And Seth Rollins stares down Roman. Roman's like, can I help you, Seth? What's wrong? And Seth's like, listen, Roman, I don't question many of the things you do, but I want to know, why the hell did you take me out of that World Championship match at the Hart Foundation Cup? You know my knee was not injured. Why would you put Drew McIntyre with the Usos? And Roman's like, Seth, what are you doing, man? You know that I know what's best for the family, and you know that I make the right decisions. And Seth's like, your decisions are leading to great risk. What happens if Drew McIntyre beats you? Roman Reigns grabs Seth Rollins' throat and is starting to choke him. And Seth Rollins is gasping for air. And at the height of this, Roman Reigns says, Seth, your lack of faith is disturbing. And lets go of Seth Rollins as Seth Rollins heels over, breathing for air. Roman turns to Seth and says, listen, the fact of the matter is I know what I'm doing. I can beat Drew McIntyre. And I need to beat Drew McIntyre. He is the one man who has been able to stand up to me and beat me. You're right, he beat me. But I need to do something. I need to rectify that wrong. And once it's rectified, everyone will acknowledge you. And the fact of the matter is that you're not pulling your weight around. I see that the Usos are challenging for the tag team championships. You're going to go out there tonight and you're going to help them win those titles. But I need more from you, Seth. You need to start pulling your weight around. Otherwise, you'll have to go the way of Jon Moxley. And I would hate to have to see you go the way of Jon Moxley, especially since you have a kid around. And I know how hard it is to hold your baby's arm in your arms if they're broken.
Oh, damn. Rude. That is rude, Roman Reigns. And he's psychologically just so manipulative. You know, he truly does believe that as the tribal chief, he is running WWE and can control Seth's life. And it's going to be real interesting. You know, at what point is enough for Seth Rollins?
First off, it's NWL.
What did I say?
You said WWE.
Did I really? I'm sorry. I totally spaced distance on that. My bad.
Although it's the same way though with the real life Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman.
It is. It really is. But it's even better in NWL. Yeah.
Because Seth Rollins is a much better wrestler than Paul Heyman ever is.
Well, and on top of that, you keep Seth a little more organic than what WWE does with Seth. Because his canned Seth Waluigi gimmick just doesn't do it for me. But you've got this but this interaction that you have with him and Roman Reigns is truly something special because this is a road they could have gone and decided not to. And I think that where you've taken it is better than they possibly could have done justice for this as well.
Right. Also, yes, I could not help but do a Darth Vader line.
Yes, that did make me laugh because that was, because I wouldn't put it past Roman Reigns to actually, he wouldn't necessarily force choke Seth, but he might just grab him by the neck, which is just as good. But still.
Anyways, so this is a two-part promo. So after Seth Rollins finally gets his air and leaves to go support the Usos in their tag match, which is coming up in a little bit, Roman Reigns grabs the camera and says, "Cameraman, focus on me for a second." You know, I said some things about an individual, and those things have apparently upset said individual. I'm talking about you, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. When I mentioned your name, it was with the understanding that I recognize talent. I recognize game. You're one of the bright young wrestlers of this business, and you and me can make a lot of money together. But apparently, you don't appreciate this. I blame it on your youth, your arrogance. Listen here, Maxwell. I can put your name in my mouth because I'm the tribal chief. I do what I want. And the fact of the matter is that you are not in my league. Don't even pretend that you're in my league. I can do whatever I want because I'm the best wrestler in this business. And you know what? I have business tonight. But I could see you very soon. And you may not like it if I see you very soon. Understand something, Maxwell, Jacob Friedman. Roman Reigns is the wrestling business's biggest star. And when you get close to this star, you may burn up because you just can't handle the pressure.
I believe the term that you used last time was them's fighting words.
Them's fighting words.
And I am, we'll just see where this goes. We'll see where this goes. And a more overt acknowledgement this time than perhaps the nonchalant passing comment that sparked the ire of MJF in the first place.
Right. And Roman Reigns does acknowledge that MJF is very good. He wouldn't put his name in his mouth for no reason.
Right, exactly.
As he said, he would make money. But Roman Reigns thinks very little of MJF because MJF is disrespectful to his tribal chief's greatness.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how MJF responds, if MJF responds. He was ballsy enough to make the first claim, so he may have some words to repeat come ACPW, just a little, in a couple days' time, quote unquote.
Right. We are not doing this in the same day.
Right.
Anyways, we're going to move on to a 2-on-1 handicap match. Keith Lee versus Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows.
Oh, no.
Now, do you know why this is happening?
Remind me why this is happening.
So, for months now, AJ Styles and Keith Lee have been going at it with each other.
Yes.
And it started with Keith Lee beating AJ Styles one-on-one, and then AJ Styles cheating Keith Lee out of the world title opportunity. And then when they went to the Hart Foundation Cup, cheating once again to win their match at the Hart Foundation Cup. So now Keith Lee and AJ Styles are going to go at it again at Wrestle Festival. That match has already been confirmed.
Yes.
But this 2-on-1 handicap match is to determine whether or not Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows get to be at ringside for said match.
Okay. I like the stipulation.
Now, AJ Styles is outside the ring with them, and he's trying his best to support Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Keith Lee is a strong man. He tosses Luke Gallows around. He tosses Carl Anderson around for a couple minutes. AJ does a little distraction to annoy Keith Lee, and this gives Keith Lee in the hole because Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows take advantage of it. They work on Keith Lee, and then Keith Lee makes his comeback. As he's about to do his finisher, AJ Styles hits on the ring apron once again, and Keith Lee has had enough of this. He grabs AJ and beels him into the ring, and AJ is backing up in his best fear, trying to get Keith Lee off of him. Keith Lee grabs AJ Styles, and Luke Gallows is outside the ring, and Keith Lee takes AJ Styles, puts him over his head, and throws him into Luke Gallows, and they both go crashing down. Carl Anderson tries to attack him from behind. Keith Lee just picks up Carl Anderson, hits the spear bomb, cover 1, 2, 3.
We got ourselves a good old-fashioned one-on-one match, and I am excited because Gallows and Anderson, these guys have been at each other's throats for what, 5 months now? A while. For a good long time now.
Yep, and it's a great match. Keith Lee versus AJ Styles, a clash of styles. And the winner definitely has to be in line for a world title shot.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Both of these guys, deservedly so. They're both in the mix considerably in these power rankings, so we'll have to see what happens.
Now, the National Wrestling League World Tag Team Championships. This is the Almighty Crew, the champions, Apollo Crews, Bobby Lashley, with Pat McAfee and Eric Bischoff at ringside, versus the Usos with Seth Rollins at ringside.
Okay. Let's do this.
And as I said before, it was no disqualification. So Kurt Angle, in his own words, said, "A meteorite could hit the arena and kill all 7 of you, and I would be perfectly happy with it, because that means I wouldn't have to have the titles on either of you guys. But a champion must be determined. And to negate the idea of cheating, I'm making everything legal. So you do whatever you guys want to do, okay? Just figure out a winner."
All right, well, let's see what happens. How vicious do you think this match is going to get? Because these guys are both,
It gets vicious.
like you said, it's both
It
heels.
gets vicious. It's both heels. It's vicious. And it's blatantly cheating. Like, they hand each other weapons. They distract each other. The referee, this is as close to an AEW match as I'm going to have because the referee at one point just throws his hands up in the air like, what am I supposed to do?
What is it? Is it referee Mike Knox? Or
I'm not using referee Mike Knox. I'm just using a regular referee, a plain referee. I'm using Charles Robinson because whenever he gets frustrated by wrestlers, his faces are amazing.
Yeah, because he does really try to keep the rules.
Sometimes. Yeah, but there's no rules to enforce.
Yeah. So
he's only He's only there to count. He's only there to count the pinfalls.
Sometimes it's like that.
Anyways, the finish for this match is that Apollo Crews and Bobby Lashley have Jey Uso dead to rights. Bobby Lashley picks up Jey Uso, hits a choke slam, and tags Apollo Crews, who goes up to the top rope to hit a frog splash. Jimmy Uso has been taken out, and looks like the Almighty Crew are about to retain. Seth Rollins can't really do anything because he's outnumbered. Here comes the New Day to attack Bobby Lashley and Pat McAfee and Eric Bischoff.
Okay.
And this distracts Apollo Crews long enough for Seth Rollins to go over and push him off the top rope. And then the Usos hit their double super kick. Jimmy Uso tags in for Jey Uso, goes to the top rope, hits the frog splash for the cover. 1, 2, 3. The Usos win the tag team championships.
Boy, the Almighty Crew had things descend so fast. They were so dominant throughout the entirety of this year, and over the course of just a couple of months, they have lost the international title, they have lost the tag titles, they're entrenched in a battle with the New Day. This is how is Eric Bischoff going to respond to the downhill trending of the Almighty Crew?
Well, let's find out, because the New Day and the Almighty Crew are brawling with each other, and security eventually has to get in and break it up. And Kurt Angle comes out with the security, trying to break it all up. And somehow, in the mix of this, Pat McAfee grabs the microphone and says, Kurt Angle, this is all your fault. You lost the tag team championship for my boys. What the hell are you doing? You have no right to interfere in this. Are you mad because your bald, limp dick can't get it up anymore?
Damn. That's
and
low.
Kurt Angle casually walks up to Pat McAfee, who's being restrained by security, and starts punching him in the head.
Oh, Jesus.
Eventually, the Almighty Crew gets separated from Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle rips off his suit jacket, rips off his shirt, showing off his bare chest, grabs a microphone, and says, listen here. For months now, I've had to listen to you four talking shit about me, talking shit about my family. I've had enough of it. There's not much you could do when you talk about a man's family. I have to step up. I can't do this anymore. At Wrestle Festival, it's a 4-on-4 matchup. Apollo Crews, Bobby Lashley, Pat McAfee, and Eric Bischoff. Yes, Eric Bischoff, you son of a bitch. You're going to be wrestling against the New Day and me.
Oh my God. And here I was thinking that I would never get to see Eric Bischoff don the karate gi ever again. I can't wait.
When Josh again said I had to use him as a wrestler, I took it as, okay, I got to do it once a year.
All right, well, so, there you go.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And we're getting Kurt Angle in match 2.
That's right. I like this. I really like this. This should be a really, really good match for Wrestle Festival. This card is lining up very nicely, sir.
Well, thank you. Anyways, now we've had that little fun out of the way, we're going to move to the NWL International Championship. Number 6, Shinsuke Nakamura versus number 10, Will Hobbs.
All right.
This is an interesting match of styles. And Shinsuke tries to control Will Hobbs. He tries to contain him with his strong style, but he can't do it because Will Hobbs is too big, too strong, too fast, too powerful. And he starts controlling Shinsuke, but the slightest of opportunities, he goes for a running slam. And Shinsuke just ever so slightly twists it so that Will Hobbs runs into the corner rather than slamming him and gives Shinsuke the opportunity for his comeback. Will Hobbs and Shinsuke go back and forth. This is a 12-minute match. The end is seeing Will Hobbs go for his beautiful spinebuster, but Shinsuke is able to counter with a kick to the head. And before Will Hobbs knows what's happening, Kinshasa, cover 1, 2, 3.
You had to give this win to Shinsuke. You had to. After the great match that he had with Roman Reigns, you have to retain his belt. I mean, at least for this to keep him looking like he didn't deserve to be in that title match in the first place with Roman Reigns. But this really does. I mean, even though Will Hobbs is green, this is still a worthy win for Shinsuke. Well done. I like this a lot.
Plus, the idea is that Will Hobbs, even though he's 30, even though he's wrestled for a while, like, his wrestling on the independent circuit is just that, the independent circuit. He needs matches with big-time talent to be ready for main event slots. And I think Shinsuke is the perfect veteran for Will Hobbs to work with.
Yo, for sure. For sure.
Oh, on a side note, did you see that match with CM Punk versus Will Hobbs?
No, but I heard it was worth watching.
It's a good match. The main thing, though, is that CM Punk during the match is teaching Will Hobbs, and it's kind of the same thing that I have Shinsuke doing here.
For sure. Which is what they have to do. I mean, that's how you learn.
It's how you learn. By the way, I should mention that Shinsuke is celebrating when he gets super kicked in the stomach by one Seth Rollins, who then goes off the ropes, hits a curb stomp on Shinsuke, and holds up the International Championship.
He's trying to step up to the plate. Roman Reigns told him step up to the plate, and here's Seth doing just that.
So potentially, all the members of the War Council, Seth Rollins is the only one that needs gold.
Yeah, and if Seth wins it, that's gonna be pretty intense.
Yep. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the co-main event, the NWL Women's Title match. NWL Women's Champion Toni Storm versus Bayley.
Okay.
Now, Toni Storm is accompanied by Raquel Gonzalez, who has her back, and Bayley is accompanied by Sasha Banks. No Becky Lynch, no Charlotte, because Charles Robinson said no.
Okay.
Charles Robinson's my only referee.
Hey, he's a man who gets things done.
He's the man who gets things done. Anyways, so this match, I'm going to give it 15 minutes between Toni Storm and Bayley. It's back-to-back. The finish is Bayley go for the belly-to-belly. Toni Storm reverses it into the Storm Zero powerbomb. And Sasha Banks comes in and stops Toni Storm right about to win. And Raquel Gonzalez gets in. It turns into a no contest. And then Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair come out from the ringside area, and they start attacking Toni Storm and Raquel. And then here comes Piper Niven. And then here comes Bianca Belair, and it's a 4-on-4 battle between these women inside the ring. And then here comes Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley helps out the other women against the Horsewomen, and Charlotte and Becky and Sasha and Bayley, one by one, are driven out.
Wow. A changing of the guard, perhaps.
A changing of the guard, perhaps. So we'll see what happens, but the odds may be in favor of the new blood.
Which I hope is not the actual name of this little alliance, but I figured that they're not really going to have a name for this alliance. It's just, let's just get the Horsewomen the hell out.
Exactly. Anyways, the main event is Drew McIntyre versus the War Council. All three members of them. Roman and the Usos. Seth Rollins is not here because he doesn't need to be here. Anyways, so this match, online is the stipulation call out for the main event of Wrestle Festival. Agreed?
Agreed.
And this match, it's Drew McIntyre fighting against the odds, and he does his best to fight against the odds, but of course the numbers get to him at some point. He gets worn down by the Usos, and by the time Roman Reigns gets in, it's just a straight beating, but it's a slow beating. Roman Reigns and the Usos take their time picking apart Drew McIntyre, because the more damage Drew takes, the easier it will be for Roman when it comes to Wrestle Festival. But eventually, Drew makes his comeback. He starts fighting back against both the Usos and Roman Reigns. The finish for this match is Drew McIntyre setting up to hit Jey Uso with the Claymore kick. Roman does a backslap tag, unbeknownst to Drew.
Oh.
And Jimmy and Jay come in. They do super kicks to Drew McIntyre, double super kick. And they're about to go for it again, but Drew McIntyre comes off and hits a double Claymore kick on the Usos. But as he gets up, Roman Reigns with a spear. Cover 1, 2, 3.
The odds were just a little bit too much for Drew McIntyre, but a hell of an effort.
Yep. And Roman grabs the microphone and stands over Drew McIntyre and says, "And as you lay here uncomfortable on the ground, I figured out what I want for our stipulation. Last year, I wanted an Iron Man match because I wanted to be an honorable man. Honestly, Drew, I don't care about stipulations. You and me are going to wrestle one-on-one. But the loser of this match will get on one knee, will hold this championship, and will present it to the winner and acknowledge them as they're better. And next month, when you acknowledge me as the tribal chief, everyone will acknowledge me as the tribal chief. Drew, bring your best, because when it comes down to it, at Wrestle Festival, your best won't be good enough."
That's pretty intense. And I like that stipulation because it's still keeping the match legitimate. It's more like it's more an angle of a post-match rather than actually affecting the actual stipulation in the match. I really like that because it still is a gimmick, but it's not putting a gimmick on a gimmick by having it be like a ladder or a table or blah, blah, blah.
Right, like it's not last year where Roman was an honorable man and wanted to see good competition against Drew, so they decided to do a 30-minute Iron Man match.
Right.
No, it's just straight singles match, but the humiliation of having to get on one knee and give that title to Roman.
Oh, well done, sir. I like all of this. It sucked. It would have been great for Drew to get this win, but obviously it's hard to get this win. But Drew's got a hell of a ride and a hell of a mountain to climb if he wants to take back that NWL championship.
Right. And let's give that Wrestle Festival card since it's pretty much complete.
Let's do it.
We have 8 matches on it. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre for the NWL World Heavyweight Championship is the main event.
Okay.
A 5-on-4 Women's Survivor Series match, the New Blood versus the Horsewomen for the NWL Women's Championship.
I like it.
By the way, what's going to happen is hardcore title rules.
Okay. Pandemonium.
Pandemonium. AJ Styles versus Keith Lee.
Should be great.
Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins for the NWL International Championship.
Also should be great.
The Usos versus the Motor City Machine Guns for the NWL World Tag Team Championships.
Different pace than usual, but I also think will be very, very good.
And it's a wrestling dream match.
True.
Speaking of, Edge and Christian versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Love that. Don't even care what the match quality's like. Just love that it's happening.
Kurt Angle and the New Day versus all the members of the Almighty Crew, including Eric Bischoff in Karate Gear.
This is silliness, but it's the exact right kind of silliness that this show can get away with, and I'm all in on this. Should be fun.
I feel like this match and the Edge and Christian match is how you use legends.
Yeah.
That's how you should.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be fighting for the main titles or any of the other titles, but they should come back for a reason.
But think about how long it took. How long it took for you to get Kurt Angle into a matchup. It took 2 years to get Kurt Angle into one match.
No.
Because he had no other choice.
No. Marco Stuntz.
Oh, yeah. But when was that? That was, 3 weeks in? Or 3 months in?
No, it took the first season to get that match in.
Oh, did it take that long for you to can him? I don't know about that.
What we started this in May of last year,
We
and it
started
took
this
until
in June
November.
of last year, and it was like
Okay,
September,
June.
so it was probably a year ago that he finally got canned.
It was June, and I fired him in December. So, about 8 months. Anyways, and then finally, Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio to open the show.
To open the show, okay. Interesting one to start the show with, but I'm all for it.
It's a great match card. I may have another one that's like a pre-match show. I'm not sure yet. Probably something involving Otis and Heath Slater. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I dig it. I dig all of this. You've got quite a show next month, sir. I am very excited to see how NWL's big show of shows comes to a close. You've got a hell of a stacked card there, sir.
Why, thank you. But I don't have one show. We got two shows today.
That's right.
Let's go to ACPW.
All right. Now, this show only has 13 segments total, including matches, because we had a little discrepancy about last time about that. This show, ACPW episode 15, we don't, which is being held, by the way, in the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island. Haha. And so this,
in front of the fans of MJF.
Potentially. So this match is very much this show is very much a maintenance show. You know, keep things moving. Like you said, a lot of moving parts. We've got one more week after this in ACPW's timeline before we actually get to our final show, Winter Warfare, which is coming in December.
Sounds good.
So, we're going to start this show with a 7-minute tag match. It is the Hardys versus Orange Guava.
Oh, dear God.
And I'm sure that a twist of fate and a swanton finish would not upset anybody in the audience, and it didn't.
No, it does not.
and so then JR gets in the ring and says, well, boys, you've obviously had a great win, and this is the first time we've seen you guys since losing the ACPW Tag Team Championships. Just want to get your thoughts on what the current champions have said regarding what you losing your titles. And Matt takes the microphone and goes, you know, we've grown a lot. No matter what's happened with us, Jim, you've been around for pretty much the entirety of our careers as we know it. Jeff and I have gone through a lot in 29 years. Actually, today marks 29 years since I've been in the professional wrestling business. Did you know that, Jim? I did not. Congratulations. Thank you. And Jeff is right there beside us. 29 years for him as well. And we've endured our highest of highs and the lowest of lows. They said it themselves. We're not ashamed of our past. In any way are we ashamed of what we've done, because what we've done has now made us better people. Yeah, we've made mistakes. But there's a big difference between being mature, being a man in the face of defeat, being graceful in defeat, and being a punk kid, a 44-year-old punk kid, and his little gaggle of also middle-aged kids who look like kids, act like kids, and think because they beat us once, one night, that all of a sudden makes them better than the Hardys. Well, I guarantee you this, the words you said to us, Roddy, the words you said to us, Fish, the words you said to us, Kyle, we won't forget. Because we may not be the spring chickens we once were, but we have no problem getting extreme to get our titles back, and we're going to get our titles back. Come Winter Warfare, we get our rematch, and we're cashing it in on you, and there's nothing you can do about it, so you better watch your backs, because we've been beating up kids for a very long time, and we'll do it again.
Just be careful with the comments, because beating up kids.
Well,
I like that Matt and Jeff Hardy are dismissing wrestling's finest as quote unquote kids.
But you know what we mean. We don't beat up children.
You know what we mean.
We beat up punk kids. who think that they're better than us. Exactly. Yeah. But not CM Punk.
Because who may or may not be appearing on any of our shows, depending on how we draft.
That's right. Continue. That's later. So, but the Hardys obviously coming for the tag championships that they lost because Roddy's debut back at Summer Showdown, Midsummer Showdown. Summer Showdown was your show. At Midsummer Showdown. So now they are trying to get those belts back. And Arn Anderson has approved it, so it is going to happen Winter Warfare come December.
Yes.
Next up, we have got, have we mentioned the bracket? We have a women's championship tournament to get through. So we mentioned who we've got in our semifinals, both of which are going to be happening here tonight.
Please do.
So, Camille, who beat Ashley Vox, is facing Allison Kay, who beat Katie Forbes after Alexa Bliss was put on the COVID list. Disappointing, perhaps, maybe. And Zelina Vega, who beat Mickie James, will be facing Britt Baker? After Britt Baker beat Carmella, but of course when the Briscoes shoved Adam Cole and Roderick Strong into Britt Baker, she rolled her ankle. The referee acts she's been taken to the back. We heard all that jazz. So she will not, to our knowledge, she may or may not be in that match later on tonight.
Right. We'll see what happens.
We will. So our next match is Camille versus Allison Kay. And this match, I wanted this to go longer, but I couldn't find a justification for it, given what I'm going for later. This match is only going to go 5 minutes. And Camille's going to pretty much dominate it, which sucks because I love Allison Kay. And I would rather give her more ring time. But I need to get Camille over as convincingly as possible. It's a gut-wrench powerbomb. 1, 2, 3.
It's hard because Allison Kay is so good. But the thing about it is that, as I said when you drafted her, Camille is a woman that you build a division around.
Yeah.
And she has to be dominant. You cannot have that figure in wrestling and not win matches the way that she wins matches.
Right.
She has to win in that way. Otherwise, you break the aura, and you can't do that.
Right. Exactly. And for what it's worth as well, Camille is super green. Like super green. So I can't have these matches go very long. And Allison Kay's got enough experience where she will make 5 minutes look great for Camille. So this is, again, it's kind of like a Powerhouse Hobbs situation. The look is there. The work will get there. But right now, it's got to be short and it's got to be sweet.
Right. Until you can book them in longer matches. Like the match I had with Shinsuke was only, 10, 12 minutes?
Yeah.
That's all Will Hobbs has had. That's all that Will Hobbs can do. But that's all you need to do. Camille right now can only do 5 minutes. That's fine. Build up to that 8-minute match, that 10-minute match,
exactly.
that 12-minute match, that 15-minute match. So eventually you can do that 20-minute match.
Exactly.
But again, as I said, a woman with Camille's build cannot be in long matches, at least not yet.
Not yet. And the bigger story here is that Camille is now guaranteed in the finals, and the finals of this tournament are happening at Winter Warfare. So Camille has punched her ticket into our next pay-per-view speculaganza, Winter Warfare.
By the way, can I still say that I hate you for drafting her?
You absolutely can, and I will absolutely be smug about the fact that she is mine to work with. Moving on, we now have...
This is what I get for drafting Will Hobbs, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Because you wanted to take Willie Hobbs and make him pictures with him.
Yeah, I did. Well, I'd rather make him a fantastic wrestler first and have him draw me money, but then he can go to all those major motion pictures that have been so famed. And I'm not going to do the Dusty impression because we have a main event to take care of. So Tony Schiavone.
So you have to say that Dusty impersonation for a real show.
That's right. So Tony Schiavone's in the back with Adam Page. And Toni goes, well, Adam, you have had an impressive string of matches here of late, gaining some critical victories, of course, that rough loss with Cody, but then a great matchup, arguably the best matchup of the week last week against Shorty G, that, of course, neither of you were just able to come out of. You were just about to hit it with the buckshot lariat. What do you feel coming out of that draw about your ACPW career going forward? Well, Toni, I've done... a lot of people have said to me I'm still young and I'm still hungry. And everybody's trying to be real encouraging of me, and people are making it sound like I lost last week. I didn't lose. I didn't win either. I'm not saying I did. But at the end of the day, it's things like that that continue to make you want to push. That you know, and I know. And I hope that these people know that I can get that far. And it was with those people that I was able to rally back. It was the cheers that brought my face to life until I finally said, that was enough, Shorty G. It's time to get buckshot lariated and to get that cowboy shit that's coming to you. And at the end, I almost had him. And all it would take is another 3 seconds, and that victory would be mine. And as Adam Page is about to finish this, Shorty G kind of pushes Tony Schiavone and gets in, and breaks it all up. And obviously they're a little upset because don't hurt Tony Schiavone. Come on, Shorty G. And he takes the microphone from Tony. And Tony's like, doesn't know what to do. And Shorty G goes, excuse me? I'm sorry. I was walking by and I couldn't help but hear you talk and run your mouth that said, you almost beat me. Are you kidding me? Do you realize who you are, what you are, Mr. Farm Boy? You're what they call a nobody. You're what they call an athletic bumpkin, hillside stranger. I am athletic gold around my waist. You can see it right here, and he's actually like, he's got a replica belt, but it's like clearly not the actual gold. It's like, it's not as like Walmart. It's not Walmart quality, but it's like a step above that.
I like to think that he has the John Cena spinner belt.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, with the US on it. The US spinner belt. I like that.
Oh, God. The US
and
spinner
because
belt.
I represent America at its finest. And you are what America should be ashamed of. And to think that you're in the same class as an Olympic athlete like myself, a man who's won multiple sports championships in every sport throughout his life. I had 1 year where I won 10 championships, and all I did was go to practice once. And you need to practice for 10 more years before you think you're even my quality. And a draw means you don't win, means that you're inferior. I know my stature. But if you think, I'm sorry, I can't say this without laughing just looking at you. Did your mom bedazzle those little unicorn things on either side of your vest? That's real cute. How about you come and learn how to wrestle with me at Winter Warfare? And this time, we'll go 30 minutes if we have to. In fact, we'll go 60 minutes if we have to. You and I, no time limit. There's a winner. And you'll see how close you really were.
Oof. A lot to unpack there. First off, can we get this Adam Page in real life?
The cowboy shit one?
Yes, can we get cowboy shit that actually is likable? Because I am not a fan of Sad Drunk. Sad Drunk Cowboy is not going to get you world title.
Sad Drunk Cowboy that brings the goons out for ice cream.
They had the opportunity to make Adam Page one of the most likable baby faces in wrestling, and that ship has sailed.
In a major way.
They can try and do it. They can try it now, but it's too late. There's no excitement around Adam Page. I know he just came back and he won the number one contendership in a casino ladder match, but he is not as hot as he was when he and Omega were tagging together and first feuding.
Yeah.
And they're going to put the title on him, and it's not going to look good because they have not properly built up Adam Hangman Page to be that number one contender.
Because for the longest time, they have not known how to build anybody up. Otherwise, MJF would not have been feuding with Jericho for basically a year.
They made him a joke by having him get on a lawnmower and buy ice cream for the Dark Order.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That was just dumb. And
also,
it's so not his fault either. Because how are you supposed to compete against Bryan Danielson and CM Punk?
Exactly. Shorty G is the perfect delusional mid-card heel who thinks he's better than he actually is. Or maybe he's lying to himself because he knows he's not that good, but he has to pretend. What?
Well, it's interesting with Shorty G because it was a gimmick that was supposed to be given to me as a joke, but I've ended up getting a lot of mileage out of it because it's a great way for someone who does have an incredible athletic, regimen behind him. Someone who is as talented as Chad Gable. He can cut promos. But his size always held him back. He always had things that just didn't quite click, but this is perfect to keep him involved in this show, but he can't really go much higher than that. But he's my perfect babyface, or my perfect babyface foil mid-card heel.
Like, honestly, if you had a mid-card title, hashtag wink, wink, nudge, nudge, maybe you could put the title on Shorty G, and he would be the perfect person for a babyface to take a mid-card title off of. Shorty G is that gimmick that is dead on arrival unless you turn it up to 11. And we turned it up to 11. I will fully admit, I did help in making nits.
You did.
You have to give me some of the credit.
I've been doing nothing but giving you credit.
Yes, and you will continue to give me credit. Anyways, but you have taken the ball with Shorty G. You've run with it, and this is a good feud for Adam Heyman Page. Can he hang with an athletic Shorty G, despite the ridiculousness of his statements and the spinner belt? Shorty G is a great athlete, and hey, that match, no time limits. That's an interesting stipulation.
Now, does that mean it's going to go 60 minutes? Probably not. But it's something that we haven't really done, kind of in the same setting of what you're doing with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. This is a gimmick that doesn't really affect the outcome or the way that the match is worked at all.
But it perfectly fits the characters involved.
Yeah, for sure. So this should be interesting. And we've got a week in between where these two might have a level of interaction beyond that. So who knows where this is going, but now we have another match that we have confirmed for Winter Warfare. It is Shorty G versus Adam Page, no time limit.
They could wrestle all night if they have to.
They could.
I just don't think they will.
I don't think so either. So, next up, Zelina Vega comes out. And Zelina Vega is on the microphone, and Andrade is there supporting his girl because it's time for the next semifinal match. And Zelina Vega and Jim Ross comes in, or Zelina Vega's waiting, and JR comes into the ring and says, Zelina kind of brings her up here and goes, "Well, Zelina, I hate to be the one to bring this news, but we got word at the beginning of tonight that Britt Baker, unfortunately, has suffered a very, very sprained ankle. Thankfully, it is not broken, but a very...
One injury report, Jim Ross. A very, very sprained ankle.
Hey, I'm not a doctor, right? I'm not a physician. This is just the word that's come out to me. It's a nasty sprain. But as a result, it's a bad enough sprain where she will not be able to compete tonight. So, as it stands, and Zelina kind of nudges JR, she doesn't take the microphone, so it's still in Jim Ross's hand. I'm not going to disrespect the referees twice in a row, or disrespect Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone twice in a row. I'm trying to be nice to my announcers. And Zelina
Your heels aren't.
No, they're not. And Zelina goes, "Jim, I was waiting for you to say the magic words, because what that means is that I, Zelina Vega, am moving on, baby. It's the finals. And you know, I'm not surprised that our cute little dentist couldn't fix her ankle. What kind of doctor is that? And Jay Morris is like, well, I'm sure. I mean, you said she's the dentist. She doesn't know ankles. Well, it turns out that our hard as nails girl isn't as tough as she thinks she is. Let's cry about it, shall we? Do you have tears, Andrade? Can you cry for me? Cry for me. And you know, Andrade is like, boo hoo. Now stop your crying and let's talk answers, because the answers are Britt Baker was never good enough to compete against Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega has proven over however many weeks, this has been week 15, obviously this is months in our canon timeline, so over the course of the time she's arrived, that's what she said. Haha, that's what she said.
Ever since I stepped foot in this company.
From the time I arrived, I've proven to be the most valuable commodity. And look, Britt Baker, I'm not surprised that she's scared to step into the ring with the hottest commodity in pro wrestling. And at that moment, Arn Anderson walks down to the ring. And this is the first time.
Enforcer, Glock Anderson.
That's right. That's right. Glock Arn Anderson. He comes up, and Jim Ross is like, well, Commissioner, it's great to see you. And Arn goes, Zelina, the integrity of championship tournaments in ACPW, it has to be protected. I'm not saying that you don't deserve a bye or a pass because you are a great athlete, but I wouldn't go throwing stones, miss, before we announced that you actually did have one. Because it turns out we have someone who we believe is a more than adequate substitute for Britt Baker. And Britt, we wish the most in her recovery, and hopefully she'll be able to compete soon. But Zelina, you do have a match tonight. And your opponent, well, I'll just let her make her presence felt. And as Arn Anderson is leaving the ring, and there's a little bit of like, who is it? And Jim Ross is left, and Zelina and Andrade are in the middle of the ring. Out comes Serena Deeb.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh. And Zelina is not happy at all. Obviously very, very upset. And this match, and now we have a match, Zelina versus Serena Deeb. And this match, can you guess how long this match goes, Sky?
I'm going to give it 8 minutes.
It's actually, you know what? I'm going to give it the 8 minutes. I was going to give it 6, but I'm going to give this 8 because I don't really have any large matches on this show tonight. So 8 minutes, it's a good comeback. Zelina tries to go for that pepper spray mace that she had in her chest again. But Andrade, and it gets knocked out because Deeb sees it, goes to hit her finish. You know, goes to, I forget what her finish is, but I like, what's she use, a flatliner? Serena Deeb? I can't remember. She's done so many moves. I can't remember her. Hang on. She's done so many moves. But anyway, she's going to hit her finish, which Skylar's looking up for me.
Yes.
And while
we support each other out. We support each other out, man.
That's right. That's right. We're not on the same day. We're not on the same show. So he's here with a free ticket. Anyway, so Serena.
So you want her AEW finisher or WWE finisher?
Whichever you think would be better.
Fireman's carry gutbuster.
I will work with that. She goes into fireman's carry gutbuster, but Andrade, actually that works even better. Because as she gets into the fireman's carry, you know, Andrade kind of takes Zelina's foot and tries to hit her down, and you know, tries to bring her down. Serena drops her, pops Andrade, who falls down to the side, you know, pops one because he was just surprised. And Zelina goes for, you know, tries to be sneaky, goes for a roll up. Serena Deeb counters, hits the fireman's carry gutbuster. 1, 2, 3. Serena Deeb wins.
We need a name for that finisher.
Yeah, we'll working title. It's a working title. It's a fireman's carry gutbuster for now. But we'll come up with something good. Leave what you think that finisher should be in the comment section below.
By the way, her AEW finisher is the Serenity Lock, which is a high ankle calf hold. But I think the fireman carry works better.
I think for this particular match, yes. She might use the Serenity Lock, but this is Zelina Vega could not tap out here. This has just got to be a pin.
Pinfall works better, but that finisher of a Serenity Lock or the fireman carry, it's a tough order when it comes to putting it on Camille.
It's going to be real interesting to see how the match between Serena Deeb and Camille will go, because now we have that matchup confirmed for our Winter Warfare matchup, our pay-per-view extravaganza. Serena Deeb versus Camille.
It's good because Serena Deeb is a veteran and can lead Camille, and they've worked together before. In fact, Camille's the one who took the NWA Women's Championship off of Serena Deeb.
That's correct.
They got history.
So we will see what happens there. It's going to be very interesting. Of course, Zelina's not happy. And now, for the record here, I don't want Andrade to take a full-fledged bump when Serena hits him. I want him to get socked in the face. He goes down, he falls off the apron, but I don't want him to like take a full-fledged bump and hits the post or hits the barricade or anything like that. He just gets knocked off the apron and he's holding this, he got socked one. But I don't want it to go any further than that. You know what I mean? Because I don't want, I don't mean this in a bad way, but you've got to keep the divisions what they are in the divisions. You know what I mean? We're not
ready to cross that threshold.
That's right. Exactly. And we never will cross that threshold. Unless it might be, the occasional shot like this or a mixed tag that may come up or something like that.
It would require the right circumstance and the right story to tell. Right. This is not that. And even then, it's only going to be one time or two times in the right story.
That's right.
Continue with your show.
All right. Well, so we've got that going on. Now, Tony Schiavone, this is a very interesting pairing. Tony Schiavone is in the back with Jim Cornette. And Jim Cornette is alone. And Tony goes, well, hello, my name is Tony Schiavone. I am, of course, the in-ring announcer here for ACPW. And here I am backstage, not being in the ring, with Jim Cornette, of course, the leader of the Cult of Cornette. And Jim, you're a man of many words, so I'm not even going to ask you a question. I'm sure you've got a lot to get off your chest. I'm going to just let you do that. I've got the microphone. The floor is yours, buddy. And Jim goes, Tony, how long's it been since we talked last? Definitely several weeks, right? And I really am disappointed and hurt because we've known each other for so long that you still don't have a hat. And you really need to get a goddamn hat. Because it's really bothering me. And I'm not going to be able to concentrate looking at your bald dome that you've got when I'm trying to get things accomplished. Let's start with the beginning. Why are my boys not here? Are my boys not afforded a night off? Is my champion not afforded? Well, actually, he only needs to show up when he needs to show up, does the world's champion Jeff Cobb. But he is interested in Titus O'Neil's match later on tonight. That's all I'm going to say about that. As for the rest of them, FTR, they're the hardest working tag team in ACPW. They are the standard bearers. And besides, they've beaten everybody here. Who are they going to face? The beer swilling drunks? Beer money? Who are they going to face? The team that's skinnier than one of them combined is still skinnier than Dax? No. The fact of the matter is, FTR doesn't need to be here because there's no one for them to fight because they've done it. They've been there, and they'll continue to be there because they're the greatest tag team in the world. As for Randy Orton, Randy actually had some personal business he needed to take care of, so I'm letting Randy take care of that business, but there's somebody who mentioned his name last week that I've got to say a little word to. Hello, Eli Drake. Now, I remember you. I remember you many years ago. You and I worked together before certain chicken jokes got in the way. But Eli, as much as I've respected you in the past, I genuinely thought you had a little bit of brain power to you, but it's clear you don't. What kind of thinking process would make you believe that challenging the bounty hunter, Randy Orton, would be a good idea? This man has ended careers. This man has broken body after body. He's one of the most decorated champions of all of pro wrestling, not to mention, he's the violent, snake-like sniper of our team, of the Cult of Cornette. And you think that you can just walk in here and just be, I challenge Randy Orton, like you have any sort of power. There's a conspiracy going on against the Cult of Cornette, but that's an issue I have with Arn Anderson that we'll continue to deal with in the coming weeks. You can bet your ass on that. But Eli, there's an old saying, and it's be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. So come. You know, I was going to have Randy Orton, who I asked about this. I was going to talk to Arn to have it next week, but you don't deserve to see Randy Orton next week, because the fact of the Cult of Cornette is that we don't come to you, you come to us. Eli Drake, you want Randy Orton, you've got Randy Orton, but you've got to wait till Winter Warfare before he decapitates you. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Good step from Jim Cornette. Eli Drake is taking a bold step challenging Randy Orton. It's brave, but maybe foolish.
Well, it's interesting. This is the first time that Jim Cornette has been around unprotected, pretty much. Is that smart?
It may be smart, it may not be smart, but here's the thing with Jim Cornette. Fact of the matter is that man has a lot of cards up his sleeve. You never know. He says that his guys aren't there. Are we sure about that?
Well, we'll just have to wait and find out. We will have to wait and find out, because there's a lot going on with these individuals that's, you know, I mean, mentioning FTR saying that they basically have nobody to face because nobody's their quality. You got Jeff
I'm
Cobb.
sure a couple of men who like beer and money would say something about that.
Well, yeah, what do they call them? The obnoxious drunks, I believe is how...
Well, you say obnoxious drunks, I say ass kickers.
Well, we'll see if Beer Money has anything to say about that. Up next, we were talking about a Titus O'Neil match. Well, that just happens to be next. And I think you're going to like this one, Sky. It is Titus O'Neil versus everyone's favorite artist. My greatest art is getting the shit kicked out of me by Titus O'Neil. It is Titus O'Neil versus Kenneth Randleman Omega.
Kenneth Randleman Omega.
Can you guess how long this match goes?
2 minutes.
I gave it 3 minutes. Not that he's going to get any offense in. It's literally just Titus O'Neil just toying with him. He gets no offense in. It's completely dominant. One-sided squash. It's just Titus playing. And so then JR gets into the ring. Be honest with me, Sky. How satisfying has it been for you to just listen to Kenny Omega getting beaten the shit out of week after week after week?
It's the Marco Stunt thing. You're fired. I want a match. You're fired. I want a match. You're fired. It's the same thing. It's pleasure.
It's just satisfaction. Pure satisfaction. That's what gets the endorphins releasing. So
it does.
Then JR gets into the ring and is with Titus O'Neil. And goes, Titus, big things are happening for you, my man. I cannot tell you how happy I am for you. You have got a matchup against Jeff Cobb, Winter Warfare for the ACPW Heavyweight Championship. It is your third encounter with Jeff Cobb. You heard Jim Cornette earlier tonight. What do you think about what's going down between you and the cult of Cornette. Tell us your thoughts. Titus O'Neil says, you hear the roar of this crowd, Jim? You hear these people? You hear how loud it was when that 1, 2, 3 was sounded just a second ago? The life pulse of these arenas is what keeps me going. The people here are what keep me going. And I love returning the favor for each and every one of these individuals. Because at the end of the day, Jim, that's what matters. But what matters more than these people is having these people witness justice. Seeing the people who have perpetrated more than wrongdoing get theirs. And Jim, Cornette, and the entire cult of Cornette has gone too far for too long. I will never, ever forget a tar and feathering. No sensible man, doesn't matter the color of his skin, would ever accept a tar and feathering. But in 2021, Jim, that's something that I will not allow. And I've already beaten your little scrap dragon in Randy Orton. But now I go for the big time, because the power, as you've said, lies in that heavyweight championship. And it's time for the power to change. It's time for the vibe, for the pulse of ACPW to change. And I will be the man to do it. Your days of running roughshod over ACPW come to an end at Winter Warfare. You better prepare yourselves, because I'm already ready. And I'll even be more ready when the world will know each and every day that ACPW's got a champion who deserves that belt, who can chose and shows ACPW with pride worldwide. Yeah, exactly.
Imagine this Titus O'Neil. This Titus O'Neil could be a guy who would fight for the world title in real life.
He's had this in him. They made him a goof. And he also tripped and slid under Chris Jericho at Saudi Arabia.
Yes, yeah.
As we've established. If you'd like to hear what we're talking about, you should go listen to the Extreme Rules review.
No, that was All Out.
Oh, you're right. That was All Out. We just have continued the Chris Jericho is so fat joke ever since.
And we will continue saying Chris Jericho is so fat, because Chris Jericho is so fat, you have to put more than one joke in one sentence.
Chris Jericho is so fat, he's taken up all of our advertising space. Because we're just stuck with these jokes.
We're just stuck with these jokes. That's why we don't have any sponsors. It's all covered by Chris Jericho's belly.
That's right. So, but this Titus promo gets the point across. This was what Titus O'Neil needed. This was the promo he needed. You know, give it back to the fans. You know, get the cheap pop to begin the whole thing. Then talk about the revenge he needs to take against the guys who have perpetrated wrongdoing, not just on him, but to ACPW as a whole. This was the total package promo that Titus O'Neil needs to truly feel like this match is world championship material.
But as eager as Titus O'Neil is, and as good as he is, can he take down the wall of power, the Tower of Menace, Jeff Cobb?
Yes, the Hawaiian Lion himself. And as we know, Titus O'Neil is one of only 2 individuals who have ever made Jeff Cobb bump. So you know it's somebody who can go toe-to-toe with Jeff Cobb.
Getting him to bump and pinning him are 2 different things.
That's true. That's very true. So we will see what happens there. Up next, and bear with me here because my sheet's a little disorganized. Okay, so now...
While Sean McCarthy is getting his life together, just know that Chris Jericho is so fat. If you go to him, he'll shake your hand. But if you shake his hand, you'll actually be shaking his belly.
Because his hand is his belly.
Exactly.
So we move on to Tony Schiavone in the back with beer money. And Tony's
Hello.
And Tony Schiavone goes, hello, my name is Tony Schiavone. Of course, the backstage interviewer here at ACPW, and alongside me are the two iconic individuals, a hell of a tag team, James Storm and Bobby Roode, Beer Money. And Beer Money, you have had a string of impressive victories, and your names were actually just mentioned just a few short minutes ago. Do you care to respond? Well, we would have come out earlier, and we would have called Jim out for saying what he said, but honestly, we were in the middle of a poker game, and I had 2/3 of a beer left. And we weren't going to stop that just to respond to a little shrimpy weasel who runs his mouth too often. But I'll tell you this. FTR, we've heard a lot about you, man. We've heard a lot about the greatest tag team in the world. You're the longest reigning ACPW tag team champions to date. No taking that away from you. But the fact of the matter is, when it comes to experience, when it comes to knowing how to kick ass, take names, and enjoy a cold one after the fact, there's only one team that has stood the test of time. No other team has had the longevity, whether we've been in the same place or not. Everybody says our name, not just because it's fun to throw your hands up, throw some cash around, and pop some bottles, but it's also fun to kick some ass, throttle some kids around who don't know what it's like to be veterans, and school a couple of punks to humiliate a weasel. That's what we plan to do. That's what we will do. So if you don't think that we're quality enough, why don't you come down next week and see us face to face and tell us whether you think we're up to the challenge, because we know we are. And at the end, no matter whether you're walking away scared or laying on the mat defeated, when we're back at the hotel, there's only two things that are needed: beer, money.
This is the match I didn't know I wanted until you brought it up, and you know what? I would love this match.
It's going to be something. Now, keep in mind, they're not having the match next week. They're going face-to-face next week.
But the possibility is just tantalizing enough.
Yes. And again, I always thought that Beer Money was so... I have a hard take for those old-school TNA fans out there. I always thought Beer Money was superior to America's Most Wanted, in my opinion. And I like Wildcat Chris Harris, but still.
But look at the tag teams that TNA has produced over the years. Beer Money, the Motor City Machine Guns, LAX, America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
TNA knows how to do a tag team division, or at least they used to.
They did. And that's why Beer Money, I had to bring Beer Money. And also, one of my favorite feuds ever in TNA was the James Storm versus Bobby Roode feud when they first broke up. I loved that angle. I thought they did such a good job. Their cage match at Lethal Lockdown that main evented the show was so good. So good. And
Bobby Roode may have had the greatest heel turn in the history of TNA.
Yeah, I would not disagree with that. Because I loved everything about Bobby Roode and his title run, It Factor Bobby Roode. That was what really made me become a big fan of Bobby Roode, was actually that heel turn. But he was always good. He was always good. And this tag team, with a team like FTR, who definitely thinks they're holier than now, facing a team that's got a lot more grit, but that veteran experience like that James Storm and Bobby Roode have, this match, when it comes to blows, is going to be a barn burner.
Barns will be burned.
That's right. All right, now, moving right along, here comes some fun. I bet you're surprised that this match is actually going this late on the card. It is Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa.
I'm not surprised because these two are well known. They've had some of the best feuds in real life, and you're building it up. It went from being just a lower mid-card thing to being a little bit higher up on the card.
How long do you think this match goes?
Does it even happen? Because Johnny Gargano, according to Tommaso Ciampa, is a yellow fellow.
He shows up. He does show up. but you could definitely tell
He does show up.
he doesn't really want to fight. Not really.
Yes.
And
I'm not going to guess. I'm just going to let you talk the match into me.
Well, it's going to be 10 minutes, but I think you're going to be surprised at this. And you'll see why later. You'll see why later. And there's a significant reason. This match is a good match. You know, Gargano gets the heat. Tommaso Ciampa gets the comeback. There really isn't much to say about this finish. Gargano tries to cheat by taking one of the turnbuckle pads off. As the referee's going to fix it, he goes to try and hit his big move. It gets countered into Project Ciampa. 1, 2, 3. Ciampa just wins clean. Celebrates, and then, you know, as the fans are cheering with Ciampa, he takes him and throws out Johnny Gargano, kind of whisks his hands, raises his hands, and goes to the back. And that's it.
I have a feeling like I know what's going to happen in a little bit.
You might know.
But
you might.
But that's a good win for Tommaso Ciampa. You had to have him go with Johnny. As much as I love Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa is the star of that tag team.
Yeah. It's something where, you know, I needed, unfortunately. Do I acknowledge that in someone else's eyes, throwing away this match on a TV match that only goes 10 minutes and that's as far as it goes, theoretically, I know that a lot of people are going to be pissed off about that. But you got to understand how the rest of this card has been built. I couldn't really do much any other way than this.
What? Here's the thing, is that if you put this on Winter of Warcraft, if you had put this match on Winter of Warcraft, would it have even made the main show, or would it have been a pre-show match?
It just, for what this team is, it just wouldn't stack up. And it's not that the match wouldn't be good, but look at the rest of the card. I mean, you've got Cobb and Titus O'Neil. You've got let's see what I'm looking at. We've got Randy Orton versus Eli Drake. You've got Bobby Fish and O'Reilly versus the Hardys for the tag titles. You got, potentially, depending on how next week goes, FTR and Beer Money. You've got Camille and Serena Deeb for the women's title, and you've got Adam Page and Shorty G. Where do they fit on that card?
They don't.
They don't.
They just don't.
Sadly, they don't. It's no disrespect to either individual. It's just the way that this card went.
I mean, you could have, if you really want to, put it as a main event of a TV show. Even then, it's not compelling enough of a story, at least not yet, that you could do that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's where that goes. And, you know, we'll see where the rest of this heads. But we've got 3 more segments to do, and these 3 segments are going to be a little ridiculous.
Well, let's get a little bit ridiculous, shall we?
So we're moving on to the final match, and then we have 2 segments after this. The final match... Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. We're putting the match in between. Glad. This is what I mean by my notes are a little scattered. So, we've got Gargano.
So while you click your life together, I want to tell people that Chris Jericho is so fat, when he sat down to eat lunch in Italy, the Tower of Pisa started to lean.
Damn. The Tower of Pisa righted itself. It became straight.
It used to be straight, and then Chris Jericho sat down and it started leaning.
Well, that means he has to go to Italy again and then sit on the other side, so that it can just be the Tower of Pisa again.
No, but Chris Jericho hates Italians.
Well, you know what the problem is? Chris Jericho thought that it was the Leaning Tower of Pizza, and when it wasn't pizza, he's not going back there because he's not going to be disappointed again.
Exactly. He's going to go to Sturgis, where real people hang out.
Jeez.
Anyway.
Well, speaking of people Chris Jericho has leached talent off of, we're now in the ring. It's JR and MJF. And JR goes, Maxwell, you have had... Jesus, where do I start with this? You have had quite the week. I mean, the media surrounding MJF And you can hear this crowd here at the Nassau Coliseum. They have erupted over you. I can barely talk to you right now, Max. You have captivated not only the ACPW audience, but around the country. People are saying your name for the things you said last week. How does it feel? And MJF kind of takes a beat to look around, and he kind of absorbs it all. And there are MJF chants. Huge MJF chants. More than you've ever heard before.
The people got their signs. They got their
That's right.
They got their MJF towels.
That's
They're
right.
all parading around. It's a homecoming for the hometown hero.
And he goes, now these are my people, JR. Huge pop. Of course. So he goes, well, now, it's funny, Jim, because all I did was defend the honor of this place. All I did was defend the honor of ACPW because I don't like people disrespecting the talent that's here, disrespecting people like me by uttering my name when he hasn't earned anything. And the fact is, Jim, no matter who's out in this audience, they all know, whether they're my friends or not, that when it comes to ACPW, there is no talent out there that matches ACPW quality. And I don't care what hey, now. Well, look who it is. And Jim's, looks around and goes, look right there. Front seat. I can't believe it. Hey there, bud. I see you left your little hemp belt at home. Everybody, look. It's Roman Reigns. Come on, cheer for him. Everybody cheer for Roman Reigns. He's a guy that appears on a show once or time. This guy runs his mouth about the people of Nassau. And he said, no, you know what?
And of course, the crowd at this point are booing Roman Reigns as the camera pans to a very confident man sitting at ringside,
very calm,
in enemy territory.
Very relaxed, just like not really, no selling it. Doing a great job, no selling. He goes, no, you know what? No, I want to hear what these guys have to say. He traveled a long way. He saved up all his frequent flyer miles to be here, guys. Let's relax a little bit. Let's give him the microphone. Let's give him some time. And now you see security like kind of saying like, no, MJF, and it's like, no. This one's on me. Arn, I know you're listening in the back. You know the kind of benefits that I've got. You know the kind of assets I have to my name. I hold myself personally accountable for anything that happens in this ring or to anyone here forth. I will take care of all the damages. These people deserve to hear what this man has to say. Come on up. Don't be shy. Well, rub those eyes. Get some eye drops in you. Sober up and come and talk to me. And Roman Reigns slowly just gets up, stands up, and of course hops over the barricade. Kind of little wink to the old days there. And he gets over the barricade and he slowly slides in. And now you see there's security officers now surrounding the ring. Because this is not planned, right? This is an enemy territory. So now there's like additional police have kind of come in on the corner. So if this escalates or if somebody throws a punch, they're going to immediately come in and break this up. Because this is not scheduled. And he goes, well, Roman, Jim, can you do me a favor? I promise you he's not going to hurt you. Promise you. Can you please give this man an interview and let him speak his mind? Because I'd love to hear why you're here tonight. I'd love to hear why you think you could just show up on ACPW territory and think you're going to walk away. Jim goes, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the National Wrestling League heavyweight champion, Roman Reigns, for those of you who are unfamiliar with him, and then Roman Reigns kind of just shoots a look at JR, like that hit a nerve. And
Jim Ross is cowering because the fear and the eyes of the tribal chief are on him.
Yeah, it's like, all right, let's keep our cool. Cooler heads should prevail here. Roman, why don't you explain to why it is that you are here in ACPW? Oh, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I wasn't gonna be here tonight. I didn't have any reason to be here tonight. Because when I mentioned your name a few months back, I was just saying it passingly. I was threatening somebody else. I actually did something. Do you understand? I don't understand what this problem is you have. Because this problem, do you not understand, Maxwell, the favor I bestowed upon you? Do you not understand what I did out of the goodness of my heart? You know why I mentioned your name, Maxwell? It's because I see talent when I know that talent's real. What's the phrase? Real, recognize real. And the fact is, for one night, for one single solitary moment, I did something for you that I don't do for anybody. I acknowledged you. The tribal chief was gracious enough to acknowledge you, MJF, and in that moment, you became twice as relevant as you were before. Nobody was saying the name MJF prior to it uttered out of my lips. The entire country was talking about the world champion Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, because the world has had no choice but to acknowledge me. And I made you, in that exact moment, I made you a name. I put you, for the briefest moment, as an equal. And I made you an equal, and what did you do? You refused, instead of accepting and understanding just how beneficial my speaking of your name truly was to your name. You decide to take offense to it. You decide that instead of acknowledging my acknowledgement, you chose not to acknowledge me. You decide to knock the company that I run. And when I say I run it, I run it. You decided that your own vanity was going to get in the way of respect. And unfortunately, I'm a fair man. And now you've left me no choice. But I am a fair man, Max. I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you your opportunity right here, right now. You can change your narrative. All you have to do is get on your knees, undo the wrongdoings that have transgressed, and acknowledge me. And MJF, he thinks about it for a second. He looks at Roman Reigns, and he just slaps the taste out of Roman Reigns' face as his eyes were closed, trying to have him acknowledge him. And Reigns immediately starts going, charges him, and the security's right there to break it up. There's a big pull apart. And so there's this whole issue where it's all broken up. MJF carted to the back. They're not arresting Roman Reigns or anything like that, but they've restrained him. They're now going to escort him out of the building. So Roman Reigns has said his piece, and MJF did not like that.
But you may not have to like it because he is the tribal chief, and he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong.
It's definitely interesting because Max is still very confident about him and the quality of talent that ACPW has. So and the arrogance to just basically pimp slap the tribal chief, that takes balls. And of course, this Nassau Coliseum crowd pops like mad during that slap. The way I figure it is that this slap to Roman Reigns is going to be one of those highlight reel moments for ACPW, one that'll always be remembered as one of those moments that made MJF.
It's like the slap that John Cena gave to Brock Lesnar before they began their pole part brawl.
Yeah. And this was exactly what it needed, because in reality, MJF is not on the level of Roman Reigns. So the fact that Roman Reigns, these people didn't like hearing it, because this is why I chose MJF's hometown, because no matter what Roman Reigns said, he's getting booed for it.
Exactly. He's getting booed for it, and rightfully so. But this
is heating up.
This is heating up. I will say this, though, and be honest with me. I drafted Roman Reigns, and you wanted him.
I did.
And you wanted him specifically because you wanted to cut a Roman Reigns promo.
I did, because I just love Roman Reigns. I just love the way that he's booked. I love how still, like, his cadences are just really fun to play with, and just, it still fits into his psychologically manipulative style, which is really, that, I think you called it the abusive partner, the abusive boyfriend or girlfriend. And this is kind of that, like, you should be thanking me moment with Roman Reigns and MJF, where he's trying to devalue MJF just by boosting his own accolades as the tribal chief.
Exactly. Roman Reigns is maybe the most interesting character in professional wrestling. It's not even a character. You could argue it's just Roman Reigns personally. We don't know how he is in real life.
Yeah.
He could do this in real life. Not saying that he is. I'm not saying that he's a bad person, but
he's believable enough to think he might.
There's always been a little bit of Roman Reigns in his personal life that you can tell that he has confidence about himself and he likes being on top. There's no doubt about that.
And I love the fact that MJF is like just completely knocking him out. Oh, you left your hemp belt at home. Why don't you come get some Visine, rub your eyes out, sober up. Like, just completely just crapping on the West Coast, because California is like that big, that was the big herbal, the first one, we should say. It's kind of not that way anymore, but.
It's the West Coast versus East Coast rivalry that has always existed in the United States. And hey, when you think about it, this is a matchup that is interesting because the way our companies were set, they were brand split. We were basically two different wrestling companies. And now it's coming together once again.
Yeah, there's only been one instance before where we've ever done, talent exchange, but never to the level of something like this. This is a big time, this would be a big drawing event, when it comes there. So we'll see what happens with that, but there's more to this. It's small, but you'll appreciate it. So as Roman Reigns
you all will appreciate it because you all will acknowledge it.
That's right. So as Roman Reigns is being escorted out, out comes Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. The next match is Brock Lesnar versus Trevor Mann, and there's just a small moment where Brock just walks past Roman Reigns, right? He's not even thinking about him, but there's a moment where Roman Reigns looks at Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman looks a little bit at Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns just kind of gives a little teeny nod, just a little teeny nod. And Paul Heyman kind of no-sells it, but he just kind of stares and looks at Roman Reigns and then follows back in with Brock.
A little bit of acknowledgement.
Perhaps.
Wink, wink.
Perhaps. So in comes Brock. This is Brock's debut, and his opponent is Trevor Mann.
2 minutes.
I gave this match 100 seconds.
You gave it 1 minute?
It was 90 seconds at Saudi Arabia. I gave it 100 seconds at not at Saudi Arabia, but here at the Nassau Coliseum.
Minute and a half.
Yeah, minute and a half, minute 40. And it's nothing against Trevor Mann, but what the hell else am I supposed to do in this situation?
You gave him a 15-minute competitive match, just like AEW would.
That's right. One F5 is all it takes. Thank you very much. And I will say, though, we do put over Trevor Mann briefly because as Trevor Mann is going to, he tries to attack in, and Brock immediately goes for a suplex. And as he goes for a German suplex, Trevor Mann lands on his feet. And then Trevor Mann goes to do more punches, and Brock gets him over and does another German. Trevor Mann lands on his feet again. And they're like, oh, snap. Brock Lesnar, again, and, going to fight, and Brock gets him again, goes for a third German, again lands on his feet. But this time, Brock is not having it and just charges him shoulder first into the turnbuckle with shoulder thrusts, and then the rest is elementary.
Yes, Trevor Mann is one of the most athletic men in wrestling, but you weren't going to last that long against Brock Lesnar.
And I still wanted to put that over, right? I don't want this to just be that Trevor Mann doesn't get a shot in, which is what happened at Saudi Arabia. No, he gets quite a lot of flurries going into this. He starts off hot where he's going in, and he's very athletic, and he's, that house of fire, but comparatively speaking, not much else was going to happen other than that.
Unfortunately.
Then JR comes into the ring to come in to interview Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman's just I hate to do this, but Paul Heyman just grabs the microphone and kind of just shushes JR. And so JR kind of, I guess, just like slows back down and sits back down. Whatever, he'll be important later. And Paul Heyman has the microphone, and I'm sure you know a good portion of this part. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and my client, Brock Lesnar, has a message to ACPW, and more notably, Brian Cage. I told Brian Cage, like I told Trevor Mann, that I don't hold grudges against them, but I wish them nothing but the best in the obstacles they faced, and there is no bigger obstacle than the beast incarnate, the mayor of Suplex City. And this is a note, this victory is a note to everyone in ACPW, because Brock Lesnar doesn't care about ACPW. Brock Lesnar doesn't care about the well-being of ACPW talent, how skilled they are, how flippy they are, how athletic they are, because Brock Lesnar only cares about two things: beating everyone and everything in sight, especially those who have done such hardships on themselves, and number two, winning gold. And I rest assured that my client, Brock Lesnar, before the day is done, will accomplish both before you can even ring that bell to finish the match.
I can listen to Paul Heyman talk forever, even when you're imitating him.
I appreciate that. Because again, there's a reason why Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman are hands down the best things on WWE programming today. Everybody else there's a lot of other good names. There's a lot of other good names, but right now, when it comes to the total packages, Paul Heyman's promos and Roman Reigns' pretty much everything are what makes WWE spectacular. Is the only shimmering glimpse of hope in otherwise the portal of abyss that WWE programming tends to be.
There's a reason why Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar work together so well for so long.
Yes.
They are the complete package.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, this was another one. It needed Lesnar to get for this moment. He needed to get this quick, dominant win. Now, because Brian Cage has been mentioned, you know why this attack happened, to cost Brian Cage the championship. And it also helps because Cage was in a championship matchup, and Paul mentioned that Brock does want gold, so you want to go after big guys to do that. So, but also kind of playing into Brock's whole thing that caused all the smarks to hate him for a long time, which is he doesn't care.
Which is a weird thing. Like, I have to care about wrestling in order to be liked. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's a weird thing. Like, Macho Man did not dream of being a professional wrestler. He dreamed of being a football player at first.
Yeah.
And then he became a wrestler.
Well, and I think that whole thing of kind of just taking down and diminishing not only, you know, not only Brian Cage, but also talking down to the entirety of ACPW in general, because, a true feeling of he's above it because he's Brock Lesnar.
Right. And you can be as angry as you want about Brock Lesnar not liking professional wrestling, but you stand next to Brock Lesnar, you tell him that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we've got one more segment, and this is the one we've all been waiting for. It is the face-to-face of Dustin and Cody Rhodes. We're closing the show with this. So JR brings Cody in, and Cody, who's, he comes in with Shakely Dakely Katie Forbes, of course, who is shaking her ass, and Cody's got that shit-eating grin that he's always got. And JR goes, well, Cody and Katie. And then out comes Dustin, who has no face paint on tonight, and he wasn't really wearing any face paint really prior to this. Occasionally, just, in some of the matches where he's facing people like Kenny Omega, and because the people wanted to see it, just a little bit, but I don't want to overdo it. You know what I mean?
No games. No games tonight.
Right, no face paint here tonight. This is Justin Dustin. And
oh, boo.
And so, bad puns aside, JR goes, well, I don't want to really get into the way of this one because there's obviously a lot that you two need to talk about. I'm here with the microphone. I will be passing it back and forth because I don't want you taking it away from each other. So, Dustin, you're the one who called for this. Why don't you start? This goes, Jim, thank you for being there. Thank you for being my friend. It's great to be here in Nassau Coliseum. I wish I were doing it on better terms, though. But I'm surprised, Cody, you honestly came into the ring to face me. I'm surprised you can even look me in the eyes right now. And I want you to know something, Cody. I really do. I want you to know I've been where you stand. Maybe not exactly where you stand, but I know what you're going through right now, Cody. I get it, right? I can tell that from the very beginning, from when everything started with you, that there was only one reason that you were doing it, and that was Dad. Because you have now come to the same realization that I have. I know what it's like to be Dusty's kid. I know what it's like to never, ever be able to feel like you're living up to the legacy of somebody as incredible as our father was. Somebody I believe was the greatest of all time, across the board. And I've always believed in my father, but I've also had to live with the shadow of my father, and it's never been easy to do. And there was a time when my career hit my 30s, right around the time you are right now, that I started to realize that my career would never be as good as Dusty's, because Dusty, our father, is in a league in and of himself. That I would never measure up to that standard, that chip on the shoulder that you and I both feel. We're the only ones who know about it. Nobody else can talk about this but us. That's the way you've always wanted it. But the truth is, Cody, I did the wrong thing. And I admit to that. Because I lived with resentment in my soul, resentment in my body, not at Dusty, not at our father, but at myself. Like I couldn't stand up, that I had to change, but instead of being proactive, instead of bettering myself day after day and working harder and harder, I'll just say that there was a very heavy black rain over my head. I'm not proud of that moment. I'm not happy with that moment. And if I could possibly erase that from my life, I would. But I see in your eyes what was in my eyes at that moment, Cody. It's fear. It's fear of inadequacy. It's the fear that you never will be what you dreamed to achieve, because nobody can live up to that standard. And I'm begging you, Cody, to let it go, to move on, because this is out of control. I thought what I did was bad, but what you've done, it's one thing to not return texts to friends, to not associate with your brother, not to care about them, but what you did to your wife. And when you finally realized that you were never going to make that level, what did you do? You decided to go on this big midlife crisis. And you said that you were bigger and better all of a sudden than any one of the members of us, any one of the people who were close to you, who were supportive of you. And then you had the gall to serve Brandy divorce papers the day she told you she was pregnant. How the hell do you think that that's a justifiable thing to do? And then you had the nerve to bring this. I'm going to keep it clean. I've got a lot of words I can say about this woman. This harlot. I'm going to keep it clean. This harlot. This $2 dime store hood that you brought in to your house when your pregnant wife was there. Why? Just to show off? To think that you are now somehow better than her? Better than being a moral man? And the saddest thing about it is that I saw it all happen. And I knew exactly why it happened. And now I won't stand for it anymore. Because the truth is, Cody, with all of these clothes and the skank you've got, you did something more egregious than run away from me. You've been running away from the reality for a very long time, because in order to get out of the shadow of our father, the American dream, the real American dream, you decided to be the one man who was the antithesis of our father. You became a Flair. And I will beat the Flair out of you at Winter Warfare. And I've already talked to Arn Anderson. The way you're getting beaten down, the way some real old school Texan sense is beaten into you, is a match that our father made famous. You and I, Winter Warfare, bull rope match. Then JR goes, well, Dustin, you've said your piece, Cody. Would you like now, during all of this, Cody has had a wide range of emotions, right? Anger to shame, perhaps, to ogling his eye candy. And JR puts the mic over to Cody, and Cody looks at Dustin like he wants to kick his ass, and then just smiles and goes, Dustin, oh, Dustin, I'm sorry. I am genuinely sorry that you are so one-dimensional, that you can't understand the true depth of what's going on here. I'm sorry that you feel this way, that you don't recognize just how proactive I've been, because you're right, Dustin. You're right. I did realize that our father, I was never going to match my father, but it's not quite like you say. Because what did our father promote? Our father was the master of mediocrity. He promoted the American dream of being the son of a boring job, a 9-to-5 where the highlight of your weekend is to go and drink to forget the fact that you're working a garbage job. He promoted inferiority. He made a name for himself off the body of others that he never truly was. You say he's this hard-working man. He was this hard-working man. But I'm not going to glorify our father, because the truth is, in this moment, when I came to terms with the fact that our father's legacy was not going to be mine, instead of letting our father's lack of success be encouraged, people don't come to watch average people. The people come to watch stars. I knew I had to take it upon myself, knowing that you were a lost cause, to bring true dignity to the Rhodes name. I'm taking the Rhodes name to heights unseen. Nobody has ever had the cars. Nobody has ever had the sex, that I do. No Rhodes has ever made it to royal status. And the reason is because our father made sure of it. He held us back, Dustin, and he's done that for your whole life, and he did it for my whole life. And you resented our father when you went through this little phase where you decided drugs was the answer. I decided to change my narrative. I took the healthy way. I dumped that bitch of an ex-wife whose kid will never be a Rhodes because there's inferior genes in that body, and I will not be a part of that because I'm busy bringing the Rhodes name to glory, something you'll never do, and I will have no problem whipping your ass with a match our father made at Winter Warfare because I will beat the inferiority out of the name of Rhodes. I'll be buying the best suits, getting more tang than the space program, all the while you're putting your cute little face paint on. So I've got no problem proving that you deserve nothing more than to bow at my feet with the rest of the paupers because the true royalty is the name Cody Rhodes. And I promise you that when I'm done beating your ass at Winter Warfare, at least I won't be crying about my ex-wife over the PA. And at that moment, Dustin slaps the shit out of him and it's on. And it's they're fighting back and forth and Jim gets the hell out of there and nobody seems to be getting the better of it. It's just a fight. I don't like doing two pull-aparts at the end of this, but they have to get involved because they're clawing. And as these guys, because Roman Reigns, when he left, he kind of left without actually like causing much of a ruckus. As soon as he parted from MJF, he was back to being cool, back to being the tribal chief, right? He had made his point. He'd said his piece. As mad as he was about MJF slapping him, the point was made. This did not end up like that. They're yelling, they're screaming, and it's pandemonium as the show ends. These two have a lot more to settle, and it's going to be settled at Winter Warfare in a bull rope match. Your thoughts?
This is a feud that happened in real life, and I feel like you're doing it better.
Well, thank you, sir. I mean, there's actual build to this match, which helps.
There's actual build to this match, and here's the thing: Cody Rhodes versus Dustin was very good. It was a very good match. It may be AEW's best match,
possibly,
but the feud was the roles in those feud was back asswards.
Yeah.
If you pardon my word and my tongue,
for sure.
The more that we have watched them, the more you like Dustin because he's down to earth. He's a regular guy. He is the son of the plumber.
Yes, for sure.
And Cody Rhodes is that pompous, arrogant country club member who thinks he's better than anyone else. Did you hear that he's thinking about after he retires from wrestling, he's going to run for state senator in Georgia?
Georgia's probably the only state that actually elect him. I'm dying over here. I'm dying laughing at my own joke, but that's still funny. That's hysterical. Good luck, Cody. I'm sure that neck tattoo will get thousands of votes.
It will. But that's the thing, though, is just like Cody Rhodes is the most arrogant. He is everything I hate in the establishment person. And have you seen Rhodes to the Top, that reality show him and Brandy have?
I refuse.
I refuse too, but from what I've heard from it, from the plots I've heard from it, it is awful. It says everything that you think about those arrogant sons of bitches.
It's pretty much everything I've made Cody.
It's everything that we've hated about Cody for the last 2 years. And the one thing that we can't deny is that Cody is a good wrestler when he wants to be.
Right.
Dustin's going to beat the shit out of it if he has to.
Well, and I figured there's no better stipulation. And keep in mind, with Cody's disqualification, or the way that Cody kind of cheated himself into a win, this bull rope keeps Cody from doing that.
Right, because you can't cheat in a match that doesn't have no disqualification.
Well, plus he's tied to Dustin, so he can't go over the top and get himself disqualified because Dustin's coming with him.
They're stuck together.
And I figured bull rope match had to be the way this feud went down. But a lot to unpack here. Cody abandoning Brandy, giving her divorce papers the day she told him she was pregnant. Bit of a scumbag move.
A lot of scumbag move. And also the inferior genes. I like the fact that you are knowingly playing with the race card.
Oh, well, you got to be careful with it. You got to be real careful with it.
But the way Cody is implying it's not overt, but it's there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the casual thing that would piss a lot of people off because, I mean, a lot of stuff that Cody's done is pissing a lot of people off. I mean, bringing Katie into the house while pregnant Brandy was there. Pretty dick move.
Dick move. All dick move. The whole thing with Dustin, every word that Dustin said, and you could in real life imagine Dustin cutting this promo. It cut deep. It cut very deep. And he acknowledges he's not the best person. That Black Rain, it was not a good time for him.
No.
But he's gotten past it. And because he's gotten past it, he's a stronger man because of it.
Yeah, and well, that was the best part about this. Is like, I do genuinely believe that a portion of the reason why Cody is the way he is because of that chip on his shoulder. He probably actually has. And this, you could buy this angle. You could buy this story of why these two behave the way they do because of Dusty, but this is not in any way disrespectful to Dusty at all. It's more...
It's two sides of the same coin and how you take loss differently.
Yeah. And this is why this had to be my main event. There's nothing, even with the MJF and Roman Reigns stuff, which was huge. This had to be the main event because this was too intense. There was too much in these promos to not have this close the show.
Agreed. Now, here's the thing, though. Cody Rhodes versus Dustin in a bull rope match. How bloody could that match possibly get? Because the real life match that they had, that was a bloody affair.
Yeah, and then you add a bull rope into it.
Oof.
So would you like to hear the card so far? And there's more matches to come. But would you like to hear what we've got for Winter Warfare come 2 weeks' time in December?
Lay it on me.
We've got Adam Page versus Shorty G with no time limit. We have the Women's Championship match. Camille versus Serena Deeb. We have FTR versus Beer Money potentially. That's not confirmed, but that's potential. You have Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly with Roderick Strong versus the Hardys for the ACPW tag titles. That is confirmed. We have Randy Orton versus Eli Drake. It's leaning towards, and we're not going to say it's for certain, but another one that's speculated is Lesnar and Brian Cage because of Paul Heyman's promo. We've got Cody and Dustin in a bull rope match, and then of course we have Jeff Cobb versus Titus O'Neil for the ACPW Heavyweight Championship. It's going to be a hell of a card.
Let's be honest. It's like you and me are dueling to figure out who's going to have the bigger show.
I think we're going to have two very stacked shows, and I can't wait to hear what Wrestle Festival is going to be like. And again, in the interest of friendliness and because there is no animosity between our shows, he's got his major show in November, and mine's in December. So you don't have to miss out on either of the action.
And because if you stack both of those on the same week, we'd end up with a 4-hour podcast.
That's right. Well, now, speaking of, we have been going for some time, so let's move on to the add and drops.
Okay, so the way that the adds and drops are going to work is that you can add a singles wrestler, by dropping a singles wrestler. You can add a tag team by dropping a tag team, or if you're feeling risky, you can drop a tag team and add 2 singles wrestlers.
Yes.
You can do men, women, so on and so forth, as long as the number of bodies being exchanged is exactly the same.
Right. Now, on that basis, I have had, before we get started with the actual ads and drops for which I am starting, I have to drop an individual because the slots that we have are 40, and I've broken up some tag teams of late. And as a result, I have 41 spots, so I have to drop one individual, no replacement. That one person...
and you will be going first.
Yes. So the person I'm dropping, and Skylar, I don't like doing this, but I have to admit defeat. I have to admit defeat because I tried coming up with match styles. I tried coming up with angles. I tried coming up with alterations of the gimmick, and I just couldn't do it. I gave it my all, and I'm going to put a pin in this person and pick them up later and give it another shot, maybe when their gimmick isn't as garbage as it is right now. The person I'm dropping is Alexa Bliss. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. With her as Demon Lily doll foaming from the Alka-Seltzer, I couldn't do it.
I think you could have done something until the Alka-Seltzer killed it.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that at some point. That might be a season 3 pickup to kind of try and see what goes on there. But
No. Here's the thing. That gimmick is a DOA, okay?
Yeah.
I gave it to you as a joke because I didn't think you'd be able to do anything with it, and I think it's true. I'm not forcing you to keep that pick, okay, man?
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
Because Bray Wyatt, at the very least, is the original, and you cannot beat the original. And Bray Wyatt, as much as I like Alexa Bliss, Bray Wyatt is a better wrestler. We can argue about whether or not he's actually in shape or not, because that's a real thing that just came out.
True. But that's the reality of it.
That's the reality of it. Anyways, so you're dropping Alexa Bliss.
So that's the must drop. Now we're going on to the ad drop. And I will start by dropping, and I feel kind of bad that I'm dropping this guy, but I feel like for what I need going forward, I don't know if he quite fits what I need him for. And it's been really hard finding a spot for this guy too. I feel kind of bad, but I feel like he's a guy that you might be able to do something with, but I'm kind of stagnant with him, and it's kind of like the situation with the Bar where he's just too talented for me to just have him sitting around. I'm going to drop Finn Balor. I know.
Another one of my challenges that I don't think you were able to do.
It's not that I couldn't, it's just that there was nowhere to put him other than facing Andrade. And then, I have other plans for that, and my mid-card isn't monstrous. And he just didn't fit. He just didn't fit. And it's not enough.
He doesn't fit your style.
Yeah.
I acknowledge he doesn't fit your style.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm going to pick up a guy who does. And this is a guy I've been very high on of late. And has arguably put together some of the best WWE matches of late. And as a result, he's somebody that even if I don't necessarily use him before December, he's somebody I want to keep and work with, and I can cultivate into a really good ACPW roster member. I'm going to take Damian Priest.
I figured you were going to take Damian Priest.
He's just so good. He's been so good. He's got a different look. He's got a different style, but he's still got the size. He's got the promo. I know Damian Priest is going to be a good fit for ACPW and the kind of stuff we work with.
He's a very good pick. He's someone I have my eye on, but I think as much as I have my eye on him, I think you can work with him better.
Well, that makes it your call, sir. So who is your first ad?
Well, who's my first drop?
Oh, yes. Who's your first drop?
You have to know that this drop was coming just by the way I've used him and the way I've written him off TV and the way I've soured on him because I was hoping for better from this man.
Yeah, me too.
And it's not there. I'm dropping Jon Moxley.
Bye-bye, Jon Moxley. We hardly knew ye. Well, we thought we knew.
We hardly knew ye. Anyways, I'm taking a pick. And this is a pick I came up with just this morning. And I'm fully admitting that this is a spite pick. And this is a spite pick specifically at Joshua.
Okay, all right.
Because in Joshua's love for Japanese wrestlers, he doesn't like my favorite Japanese wrestler. And the fact of the matter is that if you're not going to do anything with this man, I'm going to do something with this man. I failed before with him, but I'm not going to fail this time. I'm taking Kota Ibushi.
Okay. Reclaiming Kota Ibushi. I like it. As a single, welcome back, Kota Ibushi. I'm all for that.
And what I have planned for him is going to make so much sense.
Yeah, he's so much more than a golden lover.
Yes, he's a golden lion.
That's right. So, there's that. I'm just writing these down because I got to edit this later. All right, so now, pick number 2. Pick number 2, I kind of just need to cycle a jobber at this point just to get some new people on this card. I'm going to drop Darby Allin. I like the guy. He's just small.
He's too small to be able to compete with ACPW's really big roster.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick up a guy who's a little bit bigger. You may not know a lot of his work, but he's a guy who's, if you recall back a few years ago, he was in MLW with MJF and Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hammerstone. And this guy is really good. He's very much the entitled earpods. He's got a pretty good promo on him. Haven't seen a whole lot of him lately, but he's still a good enough heel to where it's still more convincing that he'll be doing jobs than Darby Allin. The guy's name is Richard Holiday.
Holiday's a good ad. I think he's a very good ad.
It's something where having him on the programming, we might be able to build him up into something. He's still kind of a raw talent that you can maybe refine and add a little bit more to. And he'll do what he needs to do and get him all set. So just to kind of balance out the way my jobbers look, I'm going to make the switch.
Fair enough.
Plus, Darby Allin is a baby face, and I've been booking him as a heel for months. That ain't right.
Right. And speaking of jobbers, I'm going to drop one of my jobbers in acknowledgement to Joshua. Now, the first pick was a spite pick. The second one is the acknowledgement pick. Because I acknowledge that Joshua is doing something with him, and I don't want to just beat him in the powder because that would mean that what he does on the other show would have less meaning. So I'm dropping R-Truth with the acknowledgement that he is wrong killings in SCCG.
I like it. I like the move, and I respect the move as well.
And in his place, I need another jobber. So I have decided to draft the little man who could, Drake Maverick.
Okay. Drake Maverick will definitely be doing jobs for people on preliminary matches.
Because Drake Maverick is in the same way of R-Truth. Is like, he's a jobber that you just like him. And he could do something every once in a while that will blow you away.
For sure. There's those surprising moments. You forget just how good a feud Drake Maverick or forget what he was, Rockstar Spud and EC3 had. Back in TNA.
Oh, yes.
That was a great feud, for what it was worth back when Impact wasn't great but had its moments. It's so I like this pick. Whether he has any success, so to speak, he's still going to be a great competitor and he's still going to give you quality matches.
Right.
Next up.
Now to the next pick.
Number 3 of 4. I am going to drop, and this one you said you saw coming, I am dropping Johnny Gargano.
Fair.
Tommaso Ciampa, as you said, is the star of that group, and I think that there's more I can do with Tommaso Ciampa than there is I can do with Johnny Gargano.
And to be fair, you could always bring back Johnny Gargano and do something with him. But right now, with the way that ACPW is, he doesn't fit in.
Right. And I'm going to pick somebody who also doesn't fit in. I think this is going to be maybe not the surprise, but it's going to be a surprise. And I'm actually going to pick up a female here. Because I dropped Alexa Bliss, and I do want to continue adding to my women's division the more I can. I wanted to take somebody a little off the beaten path. Now, whether that means that she'll have any success is anybody's guess. But the look is so different, and I think that if she was slowed down and didn't suck, she'll be a fit. She'll be a fit as something at the very least different. I'm going to take Ruby Soho.
No.
Yes.
No, why?
Yes.
Why?
I just told you why.
It's not a good reason.
But it's a reason. And I said it's not like she's going to have success. I'm just saying that I might need her in a spot where Alexa Bliss's gimmick is DOA. That doesn't mean Ruby Soho is going to be world's champion anytime soon. I need female jobbers too, Sky.
Fair enough. So,
I knew that would surprise you.
Drafted. So my next move is I'm going to drop a tag team that I have no use for. They've done their job as lackeys. I am moving on for them. I'm dropping Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson.
I am so not surprised.
Now, I'm going to surprise you somewhat by drafting two singles wrestlers. So I'm going to reveal the first one, and I'll reveal the second one later.
Okay.
But the first one, I need to get this man. You don't understand. I have to have this man. He is making waves right now, and just like MJF, and just like Richard Holiday, he is a treasure, and he is someone I can work with. I think you already know who I'm talking about.
I think I do.
It's the Hammer stuff.
I love this. I love this pick. And I've always admired his work. I wasn't planning on drafting him, but the idea that I will not get the three of them together is a little sad, but that's okay.
Fair enough.
But still, an excellent pick. I mean, this guy has been killing it. I mean, just recently in the match that they just had, him and Fatu, Jacob Fatu, that was pretty great. You know, Hammerstone's track record goes without saying. It's a shame that he hasn't had larger acknowledgement up to this point.
I'm going to give him that acknowledgement.
There you go.
By the way, take a shot every time I say the word acknowledgement or acknowledgement.
Yeah, between the two of us over this 2.5 hour program, that's the word of the day.
Let's put it that Roman Reigns runs even our podcast.
That's right. So who's pick number 2 of this bunch?
Oh, I'm going back to back?
Well, yeah, if you're picking two... Oh, you mean is your fourth one a single? Is that what you're saying?
My fourth one's a single.
Okay, I see. Okay.
I can pick this individual.
No, that's fine. No, save it for the end. Is this your last one?
It's my last one.
Okay, so then yeah, then save it for after I'm finished with my last one. We'll do that. That's fine. Because I'm pretty positive I know who it is, but in any case, I am going now to drop another jobber tag team. I'm going to drop Ryder and Hawkins. Again, this is mostly just cycling out people I either don't have use for or have jobbed a lot, and I just need new teams. Nothing wrong with cycling talent.
But who are you going to add?
Well, this one is going to be surprised because it may not necessarily be the job. They may not necessarily be jobbers. It's going to be an interesting ad. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be an interesting ad to see where they fit with the rest of our program. I am choosing John Morrison and The Miz.
But
But there's an interesting piece that I've got for them. I've got something real interesting. Now, you got to keep in mind what they've done on WWE programming in the last 6 months. Forget all that. Forget all that. You're going to get what I feel they should have done when John Morrison came back with The Miz, what, 2-3 years ago?
2 years ago.
Yeah. You're going to be getting something what they should have been, not what they became.
Fair enough.
And now,
shall I move on to my final pick?
Yes.
So I'm adding an individual. Now, me and Sean and Joshua had a very heated debate about a certain individual from Chicago.
Yes.
I have decided not to draft that person.
Wow.
Because I have other things in mind.
Sure.
The person I'm drafting, I am recognizing the talents. I'm recognizing the size. I'm also recognizing the inherent links to my show.
Okay.
And how you and me specifically, I know Joshua doesn't watch MLW, but how you and me did not draft this individual is beyond me. And I need this person now, especially given what's currently going on in my show. I'm taking Jacob Fatu.
I like it. I like it a lot. Because there's definitely a lot that can be done. There's so many different directions that can be gone with that. And like you said, with the Bloodline running the show, adding Jacob Fatu into the mix is going to be a very, very interesting dynamic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And no disrespect to Punk. It's just we couldn't find a spot for him. We love him, but we've also got a lot going on ourselves here.
But I think it's also timing.
Yeah.
You need the right situation for a wrestler to come in. Otherwise, they're just going to be excess on a roster.
Yep.
And I could have drafted Jacob Fatu in the first draft, but then at that time, Roman Reigns was not who Roman Reigns is now.
Right.
But now that Roman Reigns basically runs the show, and Jacob Fatu and him are blood, it makes a difference.
Yeah. For sure. It's going to be, business has picked up, as they say. But what an event we've had. 2.5 hours, Sky. That is almost a record.
Now, are you done with your drafts, or do you have one more person in mind?
No, I'm finished. Because we only allowed 4. That was how we ruled it back when we did the first one. We get 4 ads and 4 drops.
So I talked about it a little bit, but I think it's worth mentioning. How come we did not take CM Punk?
Well, CM Punk, it's again, like you said, it's timing. Maybe there's a place in South Carolina that might snag him, even though the interest seems not to be there. But that's not to say that CM Punk will not be around in ACPW or NWL come hell or high water. It's just that he does not have a spot at this current moment. But that means you've got to stay tuned, folks, because CM Punk could show up anywhere at any time. And speaking of any time, it is time to take our first commercial break after a fantastic set of shows. All build, but all excitement. Sky, I'm exhausted. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, I'm ready to go home and go to sleep on my Chris Jericho bed.
That's right. It's extremely fluffy and cushioned, so it'll be like sleeping on a big old cloud.
Steel gray off the cage.
Exactly. And so, I think of no better way to end this show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty. That's the Bay Area Brawler, Skylar Greenberg. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you right after this.